All right, guys, welcome back to Overshot, a paintball podcast. Before I get started with our amazing guest this time, I got to tell you about the companies that help us out. And first, that's Zana Sports. They make the SF joggers, grind air gloves. I have all kinds of soft goods. I'm wearing a hoodie of theirs right now. And they're picking up new teams all the time. If you could see our guest here, our guest is Greg. His old team, Seattle Thunder, just signed with them. Patty Gleason, who I'm sure Greg knows well, all his stuff was through them. So if you're looking to pick up any of this merchandise, the website is diezanasports.com. And if you want to purchase any of it, the code is Overshot. You'll get 10% off whatever you want to buy. The stuff is great. I love I got all their stuff and I love it. The other company that helps us out is Volcano. Man, their gear bags are the best. Before we started recording, we talked about how shitty it is up here in the Northeast with snow. Don't bring your roller bag. This is a perfect backpack that fits all your paintball needs, man. I love it. I use it. I've been using it for a while now. Not only do they help out the podcast, like I said, I really do like their products. So their website is Volcano USA. And if you want to buy one of their bags or any of their shirts or whatever they got going on, the code is Overshot10 and you'll get 10% off that entire order. But if you're really looking to just straight up help out the podcast, we have a Patreon. We have different levels that earn you different things, like percent off our merch. Like we have beanies and shirts and all kinds of other things that we're trying to get done. So, go to patreon.com/overshot of paintball podcast and you can check us out there. But I'm super excited to talk to Greg here, man. Greg Hrostek. He just got picked up by NYX. I mean, I've known Greg a little bit from the GZ camp. So, Greg, man, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, no, thanks, Travis. Really appreciate it, man. It's awesome to be here. So I'm excited.
Cool, man. So I love to start this out because I love to know how paintball found people. So how did paintball find you and what was your first experience with it like?
Oh man, I think it's kind of almost like the typical story, but it was like I was 13, I think, when I started playing, and it was just it was through friends. Like, they were just kind of like, hey, we go to my friend's place, we play in his backyard. So then it was like I got to go try my first time out playing, and then I was hooked. It was like, all right, I got to get my own setup, all that stuff, and then from there I never really stopped playing. It was just like I just got right into it. It was awesome. So I loved it.
Yep.
And yeah, wasn't a typical birthday party story, but it was close,
Right. What were they shooting in the backyard? Were they pump guns? Are we talking spiders? Was it 98 customs?
It was a mix. So there were some guys that had who had been playing for a while. So they had like the auto cockers and auto mags and everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, those are so sick, But mostly it was like Tippmans, Model 98 carbines or carbines, and then some Stingrays, and then maybe some what was a pump gun? It was like an old brass eagle. Was it a Talon?
Yeah, Talon.
Yep. So the old Talon. So there was a mix of stuff out there, but I mean, I was immediately hooked, and so I went out and got my Tippmann carbine, and I was like, I just didn't want to stop playing after that. It was great.
Cool. What was the first field that you went to?
First field I ever played at? That probably would have been. I think I played at Extreme Paintball up in Waterbury, Connecticut.
Okay.
So I don't know if you Jim Mazar was the old owner.
Okay.
So he had an indoor we used to play at, and then he had an outdoor we do, and then he used to have 3-man tournaments and stuff like that. So once I kind of got going, and a couple friends of mine were into it as well. We made our team and started competing in these local 3-mans. So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. So when the first time you went to the field, did you go kind of gravitate right to the airball, X-ball kind of side, or were you kind of playing the walk on behind tires and shit first?
It was mostly woods. And we didn't, the airball was not as big of a thing for a couple of years. It was mostly just playing at friends' houses. So we used to set up one field in the back of my friend's house, and we would just get whatever we could get, from spare plywood, tires from the dump. We got one year was awesome. Whatever we could find. One year we had a windshield, which was pretty sick. It was it was actually in pretty good shape, but it kind of sucked because you're behind it and everybody could see what you're doing. So if you're gonna snap left, they know you're coming out.
Right.
You're gonna pop the top, they know it's happening. But it was cool. It was a little interesting point on the field. And then we finally graduated saying hey, we should go play at some fields and compete.
Right.
That was our evolution, I guess.
Right. So these 3-mans that you entered, they were kind of woodsy.
Mostly, yeah. So it was mostly one of the fields had a chimney, had a fire pit, basically chimney on it. And then there was a couple that they had like, it was hybrid. So there was like some airball bunkers in the woods. And it was like the center 50 was like this big piranha, and they had like a couple Doritos, and then it was like all trees after that. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, that's nuts. That's nuts. It's so funny. It comes full back to circle. Like you're playing the mechanical like movement now, which is like a lot of that same kind of shit.
Yep. Yeah. So it's all coming back to me. I feel at home, I guess, in the 10-man and like that mechanical world. It makes sense, you know?
Right. No, 100%, 100%. So like you're playing these tournaments. How did you guys do? Like, were you guys doing well in the beginning, or were you like most of us in your first tournament, you're getting your shit rocked?
We got beat up pretty bad. Couple tournaments. Yeah. There was definitely teams that we beat up on, and then there were teams that like they were just leaps and bounds above us just because they had the experience. And then they were like better firepower. We were trying to go out there with like the first gun we ever had, and we're trying to go play. And you got guys like back then it was like the Angels and tricked out auto cockers, auto mags, all that type of stuff. So you had like some really good guns that you're like going up against, and you're trying to have at it with, like a sting. One of my teammates had a Stingray, so we were screwed, but we did our best.
Right.
But eventually we kept at it, and we started winning some of the 3-man. So that was cool. You start to kind of like learn what to do and get better, and you improve, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Was this like a thing that happened throughout the year, or did you have to play like these 3-mans like years and years and years?
I would say I probably got going into those 3-man type events until like, maybe into high school. And then I started playing more like speedball, like end of high school, and like airball. I started going and play at Hogan's Alley. I'd go and practice with like Billy Bernaccia and Matt Derula. I don't know if you know some of the names like Justin Trella, Chris Consiglio, Jason Merlis. All these guys kind of played in.
They may not be like national names, but a lot like if you're from the area, you know those dudes are.
Yeah, they played like GZ Camp or some like Jason Merlis went on to play for NYX. And Mike Scanlon was another good big name. Eric Kelly, I don't know if you know that name.
Yep.
Good friend of mine actually to this day. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, we started playing with some really good players, and then just the game started to improve. At least my personal game improved, and then I ended up getting on their 10-man team on the Hogan's Alley Factory team by the time I was like 18.
Nice, dude. Nice.
Yeah.
So like, what kind of events were you like? Where were you guys going? Were you playing like national events in the 10-man?
Yeah. So I played my first ever PSP in. It was in Philly with the Philly Open 10-man. I remember playing with the Hogan's Alley guys. So they invited me out there. I'd been practicing with them for months and things like that. And then they just said, "Hey, we like what you can do on the field, and we'd like for you to join us." So got to jump on, and that was cool because back in the day it was like you could be an amateur team or a rookie team or what have you, but you played all the different divisions. So we ended up playing like Image when they had like all the Malcheskis, and and it was cool. Like, we ended up beating Image, which was like wild. Like we beat a pro team at the time, and we were just like floored. We were pumped. But we had a talented squad. We had some really good people, so it was cool.
Dude, it always feels good when you like perform like against those better teams, dude. It always does.
Yeah. You step up and you show people you could hang, Right.
Like, hey, we belong here.
Yep, for sure.
Cool, man. So you're playing with Hogan's Alley, and what kind of happens next? And you're playing in the PSPs. Like, what's your kind of next step in your career?
So PSPs, well, that was like right. So when I first came on, it was like before X-Ball really was a thing. And then like, It might've been actually, I forget if X-Ball was debuted at that Philly Open, but like, I remember pretty much right after that, we were kind of like, X-Ball came on the scene, and we were just like, all right, well, screw this 10-man thing. Like, we're going to try to get to like this X-Ball style. Right. And so then I just started grinding with those guys, and we practiced, and then I went off to college, but I would come home pretty much every weekend. I went to school up in Rhode Island, and I would get a ride back. My mom was a saint. She'd come and pick me up, drive the 2 hours to go pick me up, drive me, let me stay, obviously back at home. And then I would use the car for practice, and then she'd drive me back to school Sunday. So like, I would try to get all my work done and stuff like that at night after practices and all that. And we were grinding. Then what ended up happening, unfortunately, is I went to a couple events with them. And then I ended up getting hurt, actually, non-paintball related. It was like in the spring. I just earned a starting spot on the team. And then I had a collapsed lung.
Oh
So,
shit, dog. Damn.
yeah. So it knocked me out. I couldn't like obviously go. It was like the day before I was supposed to go fly out. And me being like an 18-year-old, like, or 18 or 19 at the time, being kind of dumb, I was just like, I go to the hospital and they're like, I went to the clinic at the school, and they're just like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm having trouble breathing. My chest really hurts, and I'm having all these issues. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna go check it out. So then like, they're like, you got to go to the hospital. I was like, I got to go on a flight tomorrow. I'm competing tomorrow. And they're like, you're not going anywhere. And then the hospital telling me like, oh, you got to get a surgery, and I'm like, so can I still get on that flight?
Yeah, right.
No. So just shows the level of obsession with this sport.
Right.
But,
you're like, well, I got a Sunday to make here. So what are we talking here? What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, but that definitely messed me up a little bit. It took a little while. By the summer, I was back playing, but then it was like a few months later, I was back playing. But it was tough to trust the body after that happened. But then I ended up having another one, another collapsed lung before my sophomore year, and that required like a major surgery. So like I did take some time off when I was in school. I didn't come back until like my junior year, and then I made my way into a team that was based out of Maynard, NE United. So we played with like Greg Sewers was playing around then that time. A couple guys like Vinny D'Angelo, Kane McQuaid. There's some guys that I knew like when I played, coming up, and like the Mayer brothers. They were playing on the Hurricanes out of that field. We used to practice against them. So yeah, I'm kind of going a little roundabout, but that was like kind of by then. I kind of took I finished that. I played a couple events with those guys, and then I ended up taking another break to finish up school. So by the time like 2007 rolled around was when I graduated, I had taken a long break, and then I was out of the game for a little while. So I ended up staying out
dude,
again
until 2010. Collapsed lungs, dudes. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. I'm like, damn, dude, like that's dedication to come back.
Yeah, it was tough, man. I like that bigger surgery that I talked about. I referenced like they took about 20% of my lung off on my left side. So I lost a pretty sizable chunk of my lung. So it's always been something that I've had to like keep up with. Like, so if I train, I have to train that much harder because I know my wind was never going to be the same. So I always have to I always force myself to run extra, or I'll do sprints after I'm like, when I'm tired, I'll still do the sprints. Cause like, I know I need to do that so that I can be at the same level that I could have been at. So I kind of forced myself to train a little bit more.
You're crazy. Difficult. You're so dude. That's nuts. Just for listeners, just think about this. It's like you have in your hand, and he lost a finger. That's what happened to his lung. And you're still out there getting after it, dude. That's crazy.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I feel like you can in life sometimes you can take like an obstacle or a barrier and then just use it as like an excuse or like to be like a victim or be like, hey, like I can't do this because this got in my way. Whereas I was kind of like, well, in spite of this, like I want to go achieve or exceed, excel. So I want to push myself, harder.
Dude, 100%. Like I'm the kind of person where like, dude, it's real easy to quit and give up. It's real hard to keep it going, dude. Like, dude, do the hard thing, man. Like if it's super easy to be great, everyone will be doing it. The reason it's hard is because that's what it takes to be great.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, for sure. I can agree with that. I
love the stories of like overcoming. Cause like you said, like, everyone's got a story of like, oh, like I could have gone D1, but my stupid bum knee or whatever. But it's like, bro, you're gonna tell me like pro athletes don't have pain, dude, or like this, and they like, bro, you could still make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I always kind of felt like, okay, I can overcome despite this. So you could just like kind of you adapt, you learn, you figure things out. And I mean, honestly, I've been healthy ever since. So I've been healthy for 15, 16 years since this happened. So I consider myself quite lucky,
Hell yeah.
Like,
shout out Greg.
It could have been worse for me. Yeah. So thanks, man.
But so sorry, yeah, I know I kind of derailed the conversation a little bit there, but I love the overcoming story because like I said, I talked to a lot of guys like Joe Barrett. I think as someone else who you probably know was another dude that I just felt like a lot of times through his story too, it could have been really easy for him to give up. Like, fuck it, dude, this paintball thing's not working out. But he was like, no, dude, this is what I want to do. I'm going to make it happen, even if it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I hear
and he's
you like
dude,
that, it's like the same
he's
thing.
diehard,
Like,
man.
yeah, like you could have been like, you know what, I got a collapse lung, dude. Like I got a good, like I don't need to do this anymore. But you're all like, fuck no, dude, I'm not going to let this stop me. I got goals, dude.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's like, I don't know. It's funny. My story in paintball is a little like, it's almost a little different because like I've had these like lapses and breaks, in my career, either through injury or like personal choice. Like, from 2007 to 2010, I took that break to kind of like get set up with my job. I ended up getting married. My wife and I bought a house. Like we kind of did a lot of that stuff, got life kind of set up. And then I was like, you know what? Like I still love this. I still really enjoy it. So it's like, I kind of want to go back into it. And basically from 2010 on, like my goal, I came back playing like D3 with like TNN kids. And then I made on Team No Name and we started competing all together. And my goal, right when I got back in 2010, I saw guys going pro that I knew, or guys who I knew I played with back at Hogan's playing pro currently. I was like, all right, that's my goal. Like, I want to get there. I was like, I felt like getting injured kind of like set me off a path. Like, I felt like I was playing with good players and I was playing at a decently high level. And then it was like a major setback. So I was like, well, I feel like I don't want to like look at that time and be like, oh, I missed my shot. I was like, well, I'll earn my shot now.
Right. Dude, that's sick. So like a little sidebar, because I'm sure we'll get into it. So would you ever play any of the NEPLs with TNN? Probably this would have been like 2016, 2015. I don't know what you were doing at that time.
2015, 2016, I was playing semi-pro by then with the New York Outlaws. But before that, for sure, from like 2011 to 2014, I was definitely playing the NEPL, NEXL series with TNN and then Bloodline. So we played. So I won like a couple of the bone tournaments. We won like TNN in 2011. I think we won all but one event that year. In the NEXL series. So like we had, I have a lot of good memories on that Maynard field. I loved it up there. What about yourself?
I just brought it up because that was when I really got into paintball. Like, so I played those 3-mans that they had at NEPL because they were my first tournaments ever with those NEPL 3-mans. And I remember seeing TNN and I'm like, dude, these guys are pro. Dude, look at them. They're so official. They're all set up. Damn, dude.
Nice, dude. Nice.
That's why I brought that up. I didn't know if you were still on the team then or not. And I was like, man, I wonder if that was Greg back then.
We were looking up. It's funny because we were looking up to seeing like the guys like on the Hurricanes and Upton 187 crew and all that. We were like, oh my God, these guys are so good. We were like, we want to get to that point. And it's just funny, kind of like you always have like that next level of like, okay, that's where I got to get to. There's always a milestone or a goal to work towards. It's one thing I love about paintball actually is like that there's always a room for improvement and growth and desire to be at the next level.
Dude, I was about to say that, like, no matter if you're like a D5 scrub like me or you're a semi-pro or even if you're a pro guy, there's always something to look up to. The D5 guys are looking up to the D4 dudes. The D4 dudes want to be like the D3 guys, and even in pro, like, the lower tier pro teams look up to the higher team and want to be them. It's just, there's always room to get better and grow. It's a very humbling sport. I fucking love it.
Yeah, me too. What's cool about paintball too, I find is like you can, anybody can kind of shoot anybody at some point. I mean, like you can throw a ball and you might get lucky. Like it's kind of there's an equalizer in the game. Like
right.
It's kind of funny how that goes. Like you can get shot by someone. You're like, I should best them, but it happens. Like it's oh well. You go with it. And
I love it. It's a beautiful like team game too. Like I listen to Marcelo and Tyler's podcast a lot, and Tyler talks about living in Arizona and playing with like the D4 dudes, and he's like, dude, I'm getting bunkered all the time. And it's like, it's not because I'm a bad player, like it's because my corner guy isn't watching the wire and I'm getting fucking bunkered, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I used to do a lot of the Wednesday night drill nights up at Outback with Billy Bernaccia and like Josh Pike. I do a lot of those, and like sometimes I'd like be, Billy and I would ride up together and like ride back and stuff like that, and like we'd be talking, and I was like, that's when I was like playing semi-pro, and I'm like, dude, I'm getting shot more than I do at tournaments like here. I was like, what the hell's going on? He's like, me too. He's like, that's what happens. He's like, it's kind of like part of it. He's like, he's like, you're not, like you said, like the teamwork thing is like, you know, as in one individual, it's not always the same thing. When you have 4 other people who are all doing their job and doing the right thing, like your job gets way easier. So it really is like an ultimate team game.
Oh, it so is. Like it so is. Like I hear, like I have this conversation with a lot of different people, but it's like a good player can win you a couple points, but one good player is never going to win you a tournament. It's a team. Yep. It's a collective team. Like I'll take like 5 decent guys that work together versus one good guy and 4 scrubs, you know, because it won't work.
Yep. I agree with that.
Cool, man. So I know I kind of took us a little forward and then we'll go back a little. So you said you know, 2011, you're playing with TNN. How long did you play with TNN for? Team No Name for the people not in our area.
Yeah, we kept Team No Name together for all of 2011. And we had a disappointing World Cup. I remember we had won the Jersey Open in D3, which was awesome. It was like Pat Kraft, Josh Taylor, myself, Rob Nye, a lot of, you know, my friend Noah Hebe. We had Steve Potter. We had AJ Monaco. We had a really good team, actually. We had a bunch of guys. Anthony Vitale, Jeff McCarry. I'm trying to think who else. Mike Zerb. We had, I mean, really good roster.
Killer squad.
Yeah, we had an awesome squad, and there's a bunch of guys who ended up going pro or playing pretty high level after that. So it's pretty cool. That was a great team, but we honestly couldn't keep it together in 2012. Funding was a big issue, so we tried to keep that going. We had picked up a couple guys. We picked up like Benny Carroll and Mike Jeffries from the Hurricanes for one event for Phoenix, and we ended up doing pretty well. We took like 5th. We just got knocked out in overtime by Boom. And then it was kind of all fell apart. We couldn't get the funding. And then, so we all kind of started going our separate ways. So Pat started playing out of Maynard with like the Boston guys. And then, like pretty soon Josh, Noah, and I followed. And then we had a couple good events, 2012 as Bloodline. And then we went into 2013 season figuring, okay, like this team, we're going to like do something with this team. We have like a lot of the good guys from, Team No Name, and we figure, okay, if we get these guys under another banner, we have some funding, we had some reffing kind of you know, things that we had the obligations we had to make through Boston, but honestly, it was well worth it for what we were getting for our sponsorship. And but like that ended up falling apart as well. It seemed like some of the guys didn't want to kind of make good on the obligations to the field, and so that kind of like that was a frustrating thing. So we ended up kind of disbanding in end of 2013, and then it was kind of 2014 that we were playing into the 2014 series season. We were playing like this indoor, and I had actually made some inroads with Lyft down with like Johnny Christ and Danny Durbin and all those guys. Yeah. So I was actually slated to play the semi-pro or like the D1 season with Lyft, and Josh Taylor was actually supposed to come along with me as well. But we played an indoor series in Syracuse, and we met up with actually Harrison's responsible for it, Harrison Fry. We used to go up there and we used to all play together, and the way the indoor series worked, you could play for any team while you were up there. So like it was a really relaxed tournament. Yeah, so like if you could like just throw on a different jersey and go play for someone else for the day. So multiple guys would play. A lot of guys, if people were short, would play for multiple teams. So that's what we ended up doing. But like one of the nights I got in, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. We had just drove like 6-7 hours to get to Syracuse, and Harrison blows me up at like 6 or 7 in the morning. He's like, dude, get up. He's like, you know, I got a hookup. You should play. I was like, no, dude, I want to sleep, whatever. He's like, no, just get your ass out of bed. Let's go. So sure enough, he does. And then got to go play with like the dudes from, you know, the old Jesters guys, Harris Hussein and Arslan, a bunch of their guys. And we started playing well together, and we took 187 to like overtime in our match with them. And we were like, damn, like we kind of got a squad. Like we have a decent group of people here. And we had Pat Kraft on that. Actually Pat hadn't been in that at that point. I talked Pat up to those guys. I was like, hey man, Pat's a good solid baller. Like I know him. You should get him on for the next event. Sure enough, we did. And like the rest is history. We decided like, hey, we're going to make a squad of this. So I had to basically tell Lyft, like, I'm out. Josh is coming with me too, by the way. He's out, and we're going to play with the Outlaws going forward. So that was the story of kind of like the formation of the New York Outlaws and what is now New York Xtreme, the reincarnation of New York Xtreme today.
Dude, that's sick. So that's how the whole thing started. Kind of like a throw together 3 men. And you guys just ended up balling the fuck out.
Yeah, dude. It was like an X ball tournament. And we were just like, dude, like we just looked at each other and we're like, damn, like we just took it, like we took 187 to overtime. Like, and we're like, and we were just, it was the first time we'd all played together, and we were like, all right, like we can play. You know, it's like we can definitely do this. Our results in semi-pro were indicative of that year. I think we were like, you know, a middle of the road semi-pro team or D1 team, but we were kind of like, there's a foundation to build on. You know, we knew we could build. So then pretty much it was like a goal from 2015 on. We were like, we're going to take this team pro. You know, we were just like, we're going to grind and work our asses off to take this team and make it to be pro. So yeah, it was a fun time. I mean, that was a fun ride up. Definitely like 2015 was a good season. 16 was a really good year. We had picked up Keith DeVitt and Benny. 2015 we had Joe Barrett on the squad. We had Kyle Berry from ML Kings. We had Tom Guest or Tom Jennings, I guess he's on Facebook is his name, but we had him. So I mean, there's a lot of guys who end up going pro, you know, elsewhere. We had a lot of talent filter in and out of that camp. Our biggest highlight, I would say, was probably winning Nashville in 2016 as a squad. That was a big deal. And then in 2017, for me, I ended up taking another break. I had some personal stuff going on outside, like at home. So I took a break there. And then I came back and rejoined the squad in 2018 when they got called back up to pro.
Hell yeah.
But I played one event with the guys there. So I know I'm kind of fast forwarding quick through it, but I played one event with those guys there. And then we had some conversations about like where I guess I thought I was at in terms of my play and potential. And I think where they saw me, seeing as I had taken a year off from the team. And so we kind of like agreed, like it was like we disagreed on like where, you know, I felt I would fall in the rotation and things like that. And so we ended up like parting ways for the rest of the year. So I ended up playing the whole year in Europe, which was really cool in 2018.
Oh,
so I played for the Frankfurt Droogs.
In Europe? Oh, you played for the Droogs? Hell yeah.
Droogs. Yeah. So that was a blast, man. So like, you know, playing for them was like a lot of fun. Actually, like, you know, it's like one of those things, like a cliche thing of like take 2 steps back or take a step back to take 2 forward kind of thing, because the Droogs, that whole organization, like I just like fell in love with playing again, and traveling overseas to Europe is a blast. Like, I don't know if have you ever gone to Europe or any of those events?
No. So again, something else we're talking about. I don't know if I'm going to make it this year because we don't know how traveling is going to be, but I want to make it to the UK Masters at some point in time in my life. Cool. Like that's like a thing I want to check, because I would love to go to Europe and see it and go see London and play some goddamn paintball, dude. I mean, how can you say no?
Yeah, dude. No, it's awesome. Like when you can go travel overseas, it's a blast. Like, I mean, having been able to do the paintball stuff overseas, like I was able to play in 2016, I was able to go to Taiwan and play for a team out of Malaysia, which was really fun. And then doing the 2018 series, I got to go to Belgium, France, Germany, where else? Amsterdam. Trying to think where else I got to go to in the same. It was like all in the same year. It was just like I think I was in like 5 or 6 different countries in the same year, traveling all over. And it was just like it was a blast. It made me just kind of like, okay, this is why I do this. You know, I really enjoy the whole experience of it. And we had a pretty good team. I mean, like I think our first event we took 5th. Second event I missed. And then the next one I came back, we took like 3rd. So we did really well in the UK. And then I think in France we're like a middle of the pack team, which was unfortunate, but we did have a good squad. And then that kind of opened the door actually for me on Thunder, because I played with Devin Cayley and Harrison Fry when they were on Thunder. So they kept kind of talking to Corey Field on my behalf and saying, hey man, look at this guy. He can play. He's doing really well in Europe. You know, can you at least have him come out for a tryout? And he was kind of not having it, but I pretty much nagged him until he would let me fly over there and play. So it took me like 6 months of like texts and calls and all that type of stuff, and in Facebook Messenger and all that, you know. I think it got to the point where we were like, dude, why won't this guy leave me alone? You know.
No, but I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about Corey, man. I heard Corey's a great dude. I heard they have a great program over there. So like, sounds like something you want to be a part of. And yeah, dude, if you keep blowing him up, I mean, how can he say no?
Yeah, dude, he's an awesome dude. I gotta say I'm so thankful for him giving me a shot. Let me play in the camp. I mean, it's a very welcoming group of people, and they're very very much like, you come on the team, you are an equal, and you just come onto
Yeah.
the team. Your opinion matters. What you have to say what you read on the field, Matt. What you have to say as far as reading the field matters. Any suggestions on how the team can improve, on or off the field, that, people are accepting of that. It was a really good camp to play for sure. So,
No, that's sick. Yeah, because you could kind of tell, like, I don't know, like, I don't like, I guess you're one of the more dudes I know actually probably better that are part of that camp, but like, you could just tell from looking at it from afar, like, they're never fighting. Dudes aren't in the pitch throwing pods at the net and stuff because they're pissed. Like, it just seems like a good pits to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely very mellow, level-headed pits. I would say, like, I probably fell in the camp like you were just describing,
Right.
the people throwing the pod, or and I learned over the years to kind of like, you need to shut that off. Like, I recall we got knocked out in 2016. I remember, actually, it's funny, in Vegas we got knocked out. We took 5th place, and I was really upset because we just missed it by I don't know, it's like a few seconds missing a hang or something like that. And I was pissed. I came off, and I remember I punted a paint box, like an empty box. I just kicked it really hard. And Keith DeVitt was like, he pulled me aside. He's like, dude, he's like, not a good look. And he's like, like Houston Heat sitting right over there, right? And I was like, no. He's like, dude, they all like look at that, they laugh at that type of stuff. He's like, you can't. He's like, you need to be more professional. He's like, you want to be a professional, you need to start acting like a professional. And that was a nice lesson learned, because I was kind of like, oh, cool, I'm showing my emotion, I'm kicking off steam because I'm passionate about the game. Yeah. He's like, you can be passionate, but you don't need to necessarily let everybody know about it in that way. And that always stuck with me. That was a really nice lesson he taught me. So it's cool. Like, you can always learn something from this and from your teammates. And I don't know. I know I'm kind of like going off the rails a little bit on a side story, but like,
no, I love it.
I think about that a lot. Yeah.
No, dude. So like, I agree with that a lot. So I don't know if you know who Dave Rotunda is. He lives locally on Long Island, but he's a Planet Eclipse tech, and he goes to all the NXLs and stuff. That kind of man behind the curtains. But I see him on the webcast. He's always in like the pits and stuff. So I asked him one time we were driving back from a practice. I was like, listen, bro, I see you in X Factor's pits. I see you in all these big name pits. I was like, what are some advice, dude, to like have better plans and this, that, and the other thing? He was like, honestly, dude, he's like, be calm in the pits. He goes, I've never seen anyone make an intelligent decision when they're fucking mad. He goes, you guys have got to be calm. He goes, you look at X Factor, they're calm. They're talking. No one's yelling. No one's punting loaders. No one's throwing pods against the net, yelling and screaming. They're sitting there talking, and they're making informed decisions. And like, I took that to heart, and I was like, oh, okay. I think like that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, you don't realize how much you can let your emotions like cloud your judgment, and then and how much can really affect your play, until you have someone who's nice enough to like would kind of give you that feedback and step in and be like, hey, like, not the right thing to be doing right now.
Right. Because someone may be trying to give you like good feedback back, but you're so pissed. You're like, dude, fuck you. You know what I mean? But meanwhile, like, your boy is trying to give you some constructive criticism, man, but you can't even take it because you're so fucking tight.
Exactly. Yeah. There's like a lot of, that's like kind of the beauty of sport. I feel like in sports in general, but like especially this sport, is like there's like a self-growth component to paintball. Like like I feel like I learn things in my personal life that I can adapt, I can bring into paintball, but I learn things from paintball that I can apply in my personal life.
Dude,
so
I
can
agree with you so much.
say like
10,000%. I agree with you.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I can like learn some lessons and then apply it to my work life or something like that, and like kill it at work because like I have hardened myself, or I've taught myself some discipline through paintball. I don't know. I think there don't have to be like mutually exclusive things. Like paintball doesn't have to like come into your life, and work the other parts of your life don't have to slide over to paintball. I think that all has to kind of like start to come together and coalesce a little bit.
Dude, I totally agree. So yeah, sorry. I know we kind of talking with overshot. I'm sorry you took this conversation to the side, listeners, but I love talking philosophy, and like I love hearing how people think, man, because you hear how someone else is thinking, it could change how you approach things. So I love talking that kind of stuff with our guests, man. So you're on Seattle Thunder and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit more about your time on Thunder, and maybe a little bit like what Diamond Hill Paintball is like in the facility itself.
Sure. Yeah, DHP is a great field. A lot of fun. Like the field owner, like Corey does a lot of a lot of legwork at that field. He's dedicated. Him and Audrey Whitten, they run that place a lot. They're awesome. They do a nice job. They're always trying to cater to the players' needs, and even when we'd go out to our practices, Corey was trying to help run rotations to try to keep things smooth. And I really didn't know how he was juggling it, because he was trying to mentor our guys, trying to keep our get tournament prepped, and then he's also kind of running around and handling. Fill station goes down, he's running out there to try to help fix it. He's trying to do a bunch of stuff, and it was cool. He was definitely dedicated. He loves paintball and he loves the field, and he loves supporting players in the area coming up, and he wants to make a good experience for people out there. So I would say, for the field perspective, it was always cool traveling out there. The team days and stuff like that were a blast. We'd shoot a ton of paint. I thought that I used to shoot a lot
Shout
of
out
paint in
practices.
Yeah. Thank you, APX, for the years that you guys sponsored us, because we shot a lot of paint. But it was good. I mean, we would grind and grind and grind. And like I said, I thought I shot a lot in my past practices, but there'd be days where I was I'd start to get beat up and tired, and then Corey would just bring out 20 more cases and be like, guys, we're not done. We're going more. And it's just damn, dude, my legs hurt, my back hurts. I don't want to fill another pod, I don't want to run anymore. But
that's how you build that grit, though, dude. That's how you build that grit.
100%. And then it's especially too, when you're getting a little tired, it's that's when you tend to get sloppy. And that's when your snapshot's not quite as good, or you leave an elbow hanging out and all that type of stuff. So it's
because tired paintball is Sunday paintball, dude. If you're playing paintball on Sunday, you're probably tired.
Yeah. You should have pushed your limits by then. So it was definitely positive. But we had it was cool coming out for the tryout. I remember I came out for a tryout in January of 19 with Brandon Unger and then GJ Sakaguchi. And then we all ended up coming out of that tryout getting picked up. And it was, basically Corey had all sorts of, comments for each person. Basically, I remember he pulled us all aside and said, look, he's I feel like you outperformed, some of the guys that have been on the team for a while. And, it looks like there's a lot of potential. You came out really hungry. One story I remember from that tryout actually too, I guess one thing that helped get me picked up, he picked me up as a support player. He's like, hey man, he's like, you played the support role, amazing. The communication was great. He's like, you know how to close. For GJ, he said, in particular, he said GJ was an amazing closer. And that's definitely true. GJ knows how to shark through the field like no other. And then Unger, just an excellent snake player, and great communicator and facilitator for his teammates. But I remember one thing in that tryout I recall, and I guess it's a story I can tell people, kind of the down but not out type of thing for tryouts, or just things in general for paintball. I remember during the tryout, my gun went down one of the points, and I'm stuck in the back corner. My gun goes down, and I'm like, motherfucker, sorry, watch me, but I'm you got to be kidding me. I'm trying to try out for this pro team. I don't have a working gun, and I was I better get on my horse. So basically, what I decided to do is just get down the field as far as I can go without getting shot, and so I just keep making bump by bump. I'm fake snapping with people with my gun out, doing all that. Somehow they're going in, and I was screw it. So I ended up making it all the way there, D2 or something, D3 or D2. And then I have everybody's back, and I can't shoot anybody. So I'm just snapping out, pretending to shoot everybody in the back and having fun with it. But I remember Corey after that, he's like, honestly, that was one of the reasons why I picked you up. He's because I saw that your gun went down, and he's you didn't just quit on the point. He's you still found a way to help your team win the point. And he's that's dude. A big deal. Yeah. He's like, you knew you're probably gonna get bunkered to get fucked up there, but he's you can't protect yourself. But he's the fact that you're willing to go do that to say you want this, he's like that was a really good quality of yours. He's so I appreciate, so I would say if you're ever in a tryout, man, find any way that you can stand out. And if it's something like that, your gun goes down, don't get mad, don't throw it, don't do whatever, find a way to grit it out and figure out what you can do to help.
Right.
people will notice stuff like that. So that helped me a lot. Actually, it was really funny. I think back on that a little bit on the tryout. So yeah, it was cool though. That was definitely awesome. That was a big highlight in my career to get picked up by a pro team. Like, yeah, like we want you to play for us. We think you have it. You have the skills, and you fit in. And it was cool. So it's definitely a nice experience.
No, dude, sick. So something I've actually been wanting to ask that we've been talking for a little bit now. So how does David Archibald fit in this whole thing? You know, we know Archie from Ground Zero, and I know, you know, he posted pictures and him training with Harrison and Keith and all that stuff. So tell us a little bit about, give us some good Archie stories.
Nice. Yeah. So Archie, man, I used to play against him in the NEA, NEXLs, NEPLs, you know, over the years. And I always knew his name. Didn't really know him all that well personally, but Harrison did. And then he started training Keith when Keith was going to go try out for the Ironman in like 2017. And then, you know, he's like, well, I want more players who are dedicated, who want to work hard. He's like, come on out. So Harrison and I would come out with Keith, and we would just train. And, you know, we just kind of started like getting to talking about paintball. And he's always been kind of like a supporter of mine and a help and a mentor. So he would always kind of like, you know, just tell me like, you know, sometimes he'd help me like reset my expectations. You know, he'd be like, what do you want to do in paintball? I'm like, I want to make it to pro. He's like, no, you don't. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you want to win in pro. He's like, making it is just like one step of the process. He's like, if you set your sights on making it, he's like, you may never make it. He's like, but if you set your sights on being a competitor or a winner in pro, he's like, you're going to make it pro and beyond. And so he's like, you need to shoot higher. And so he would kind of like give me little pieces like that, you know, just kind of reframe what I was trying to do.
Right. Make sure you're shooting for the stars.
Exactly. Yeah. He'd kind of like help me kind of like, okay, like shoot for more. You have more, you know, in you. And so like, he's always from pretty much, I'd say 2017 till now, he's been kind of like an advocate and supporter. You know, he's like the reason why I got picked up for playing, you know, with the GZ camp. You know, he went to Will and said, hey, I know this guy, you know, Greg, and Harrison also kind of, you know, put in a word for me as well. And, you know, from there, it's been, you know, that's been an awesome blessing too, like playing the 10-man stuff with those guys. I mean, there's legends. There's Chris Cole, there's Will, there's, you know, Archie, there's Albert Smith. I mean, there's some good dudes like in that camp, you know.
Dude, Albert's a fucking killer. Albert is a killer, man.
Dude, I love that dude. He's awesome. He's fantastic. I've only got to play like 1 or 2 events with him, but he is just like, he is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for him.
Too, like, you know, I shared the Starbucks a couple times with Rosie, dude. Like, so, okay, a quick little story. So we were, I think it was like our semifinals at the ICC one time, and everyone's together, and it's like hands in the middle kind of thing. And he's like, hey, listen, if you're not fucking nervous right now, you need to get the fuck off the field. He's like, I've been here 100 times and I'm nervous. He's like, let's get out there and let's perform, dude. And it was like, raw. And it was just a sick moment, dude. Rosie's the best, man.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I love him. Whenever I see him at 10-mans, it's just like just bullshit with him talking stuff like that. And it's cool too. He like, you know, with the New York thing, I mean, he gave the reason why New York Outlaws is now New York Xtreme again was like Rosie gave the rights to the team, or gave the naming rights. He said, you guys can use you can use this name, you can use this trademark. And it's pretty cool. Like he was all about like restoring that old name that used to be like a, you know, relevant thing here in the Northeast. And I really appreciate that. It's like he's giving back to the game in some ways, you know?
Oh, totally. And he's still playing, dude. He's still giving back to the game, dude, teaching people like me and stuff. I mean, Rosie's just the man, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I really like that guy. It's funny, actually. It's really funny. He coached us when I was on NE United back in like 2006, and I remember like I said some shit to him, being, you know, a young punk kid. I said it to him in Maynard. Forgot what I said to him, but he was like, never again. Like he put me in my place real quick. He's like, never again will you say that to me. I was like, okay. I think I called someone, like one of his guys out for like scumming me or something like that. I'm like, that's bullshit. He's like, who are you talking? You talking to me? He's like, and I was like, okay, like, all right. But then from then on, we've actually got along, you know, quite well. So it's just funny how that goes sometimes, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. I've seen Rosie get hot at a couple people and they're totally cool later, dude. It's just the way, dude, it's the way we roll up here, dude.
Yeah, it is funny. Like the Northeast paintball, I feel like it's a different breed. It was funny going out to the West Coast, like, because like in playing with Thunder and stuff like that, it's a more relaxed vibe for sure. Up here in the Northeast, it's like everybody's out for blood, like constantly. I don't know if you experienced that yourself, but
Dude, verbally out here, people let you wear it too, bro. If you got thin skin, dude, you're not gonna make it out here because people are gonna wear you out.
yep, 100%. Yeah. Like I don't know, even like it's ruthless sometimes. People just like overshoot the hell out of people and just like really like give it to them. Like I didn't find that really much in the West Coast. It was pretty rare. You get like you might get a couple extra. I felt like, but it was never really like out here. Sometimes people are just ruthless. But
Dude,
you're getting
you'll get
drilled.
shot to the net out here as you're like the whole walk out.
Yep.
Yeah, but dude, I like that kind of stuff, dude. They're like I don't know, because I'm a kind of person where like there needs to be like it's funny because we were talking about leaving emotion out of it before, but like I guess a little rivalry is good. You know what I mean? It makes it a little more entertaining.
Yeah, it can be. It's like it can be a little more raw. We're allowed to be a little more raw here or something like that, or we allow ourselves to do that. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Right, like in any sport, like in like football, like the divisional games are the ones that are important. You know what I mean? And there's always a little smack talk in this and that. Like I kind of like that, man. I think it makes it a little more, especially in the pros. Like it makes storylines better. You know what I mean? This team doesn't like this team, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it seems like that, and that kind of fuels like that was definitely something we had like I feel like in divisionals and semi-pro coming up and stuff like that. There were always like rivalries, and we were always fighting with neck and neck with certain teams. I recall like in semi-pro, especially it was like Charlotte Bloodhounds and New York would always get into it. Distortion in New York, DMG. We were always kind of like grinding for the same thing, and we were always kind of like neck and neck at the season series time and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. So I did like that as well.
Dude, if you think about it, like
pushing.
Those teams in semi-pro, like arguably, like were just as popular as some of the pro teams. You know what I mean? Like everybody, like there was like that group of four when they were coming up, like New York Xtreme, DMG, like all like they knew that they were good, and you could tell there was a little rivalry. And that was in the semi-pro, and like I think more people were talking about that than some of the bottom tier pro teams when all that kind of stuff was going on.
Yeah, well, because at the time too, it was like those teams were hungry. There were some teams. I feel like when it was a 16-team league, and there were some teams that were having some struggles, and it almost seemed like they weren't as passionate or as hungry at that time, and they were getting beat up pretty bad. So it was almost like getting some fresh blood in there, sort of like reinvigorated the league a little bit.
Yeah, so it was like you brought the bad boys, you brought the loader dumps back, and it kind of brought the excitement back a little bit.
Oh man, but no, like for sure. I mean, I know we started kind of on the path of like talking about Thunder, and I guess like where I would say right now with like Thunder was like over like the last couple of years, it was like I would say there was definitely like a lot of potential on that squad with the pickups we had made. Like I feel like our first event together we made Sunday, Vegas 2019, and then we were a bubble team for the rest of the year. We hovered in that 11-12 spot for like pretty much the rest of the season, and we just couldn't break through by margin for all 19. And then as we know, last year with COVID and everything like that, that was a shortened season for pretty much everybody. We all played Vegas together, and then I actually didn't rejoin the team until Ohio for the Midwest like pro exhibition, and then I didn't play Cup because my son was actually on the way. So we were kind of like, my wife was not really too comfortable with me traveling, so I decided to forgo that event. Yeah. But yeah, so I feel like a little bit with Thunder, there's definitely like unfinished business or something. You know what I mean? Like there was some potential there. We could that squad, I think, maybe had COVID not hit last year. I'm wondering what the 2020 season would have looked like for that squad.
Yeah, because they're like like you said, they're constantly right there, like the 11th, 12th place team, which like all those teams in that range are like realistically like a couple points away from being like the 8th and 7th team to making it on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
One or two points go a different way, and that's a win instead of a loss.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of 1-point losses we had as a team, and we had a couple of those turned into wins. I mean, you're going 3-1, and you're in Sunday in the top 8 already. So it's pretty wild. Thinking what I guess there's coulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda in a little bit with Thunder.
Right, but that's why I said they're right there. So. Thank you for being so generous with your time. I know, like I said, new family, coming up on an hour here. I just want to say thank you so much. So, well, the comeback. You came back to New York Xtreme. What was the decision behind like coming back now?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. It's definitely relevant right now with the move and everything like that.
Right.
So I like basically I think I would say like, talking with Corey coming into the season, we started kicking around like, okay, well, what does the year look like? And, I kind of figured, my intention was to come back to Thunder. Last year with the COVID shortened season, we all drilled together locally. So it was like Harris, myself, Pat Kraft at points, Josh Taylor, Tim Stetzel, Thomas Mentoni. We had a lot of good guys drilling. And then, we were doing down body situational, snapping, running, gunning, whatever we could do, all the nitty gritty stuff. And, Harris would time to time just, hey, what are you thinking for next year? And I'd be like, Thunder, man, like I have no reason really to leave right now,
Right.
I like the camp, I like the squad. And then, this year coming into the year, it was kind of like, I was like looking around a little bit. I was like, I just had a second baby. We are, COVID hasn't really abated. So I was like, I guess I'll have to get a vaccine. Travel is not looking very likely. And I remember having the conversations with Corey openly about it. And I'm like, so what does it mean? Could I potentially miss an event? Could I practice locally and come out to events? What do you think we can do? And
right.
It was kind of all those signs were not looking to be too promising, or those options. Right. And then in the midst of that, Arslan and Harris, approached me and they're like, we're losing a few guys, and we think that you might be a good fit to be back on the squad because you're local, the system, the guys. We had a lot of good success like drilling and playing together in the shortened season. So they're like, hey, what do you think? Would you entertain it? And so I had an open conversation with Corey about like, hey, they came in with this offer to play with them, and what do you think? And honestly, part of his response to me was like, if you have an opportunity to stay at the pro level and do it, he's like, I would not stop you. He's like, you got to do what you got to do to keep playing. If he's like, it makes more sense for you to do that, he's like, I don't want to stop you.
Right.
So it was definitely like cool
to be like a solid dude there, because he could have been like, I mean, not that I ever like, I don't know him that well, but from what I see about him, like I can't see him being a dick like that. But I mean, he could have.
For sure. Yeah. He could have been upset, been upset about it. But like, it's funny. There's, a lot of times people say like, well, what's your reason for leaving? It's like, well, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say like I have any, like, there's no bad blood. There's nothing like negative that I can say really about my time playing with Seattle. I think it was just a really good opportunity and good fit right now for like, keeping staying relevant in paintball, and staying at the pro level and playing with a team that, has a lot of potential. Like New York has taken down some really good teams. They took down AC Dallas, they've taken down the Russians. They have the skills, to compete with top level teams. It's now a matter of how consistently can that squad do it. And so I feel like
that. It's like they show those flashes and you could see when they beat really good teams, but now it's about putting that on the field every point.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's like, I'm hoping, because like, that's something I think I've worked really hard with, and Thunder, helped me a lot. It's like learning how to be more consistent, learning how to, if you come off the bench, like come out hot. If you start staying, stay even throughout, the ups and downs of the match. Right. And so I think like, I'm hoping that maybe I'm going to be able to bring maybe some of that mindset with me back to New York, because the team has evolved for sure from when we all played semi-pro together. It's definitely more, there's a lot more composure. There's a lot more like, hey, we've been here before. Let's go see what this team can really do. Type of mentality that I'm noticing anyway.
Right. So again, thank you for being so generous with your time. One of the last things I definitely have to talk to you about is, again, the exhibition is coming up this weekend. You're leaving on Thursday when this is going to come out. So what have you been doing to get ready for the exhibition coming up? And talk maybe like how excited are you? And I'm sorry, I'm like 5 questions in one, but also like, did they send you a copy of the layout? Like, do you guys get the layout before? Because I don't think the layout was public.
So I don't have a copy of the layout. I haven't seen anything in our team chat posted anything about a layout. So I think It might be a blind. This might be a blind event unless we're going to get something like, day before or something like that. But we're going to practice on a Friday when we get down there. So that'll be good. We'll get like a field day before like the actual event begins. But definitely excited to get out there. As far as like preparation for the event, I've been just trying to work out where I can. I do yoga to kind of like stay limber, stretch. Would like, it's tough. It's been tough to run right now. Running is usually my thing to kind of like clear my head and stay in shape. It's been a little tough with the snow, but what I've been kind of doing is turning that into like snow hiking, or we also like have this large piece of land. We heat a lot of our house with like wood stove. So like I do a lot of like, feel like Rocky IV or something like that. I'm like carrying wood and trudging through the snow and stuff like that. So I'm kind of trying to use my environment to my advantage and like say like, okay, how can I use this to train? And like, so I'll run with it, or I'll be like doing like a bunch of lifts with it while I'm moving wood. So like it gets like pretty tiring. But it's like good. I'm trying to find ways I can sneak in like extra workout into my normal regimen. But so like, it might sound like a kind of a strange thing, but like I might as well harness what I have, and what could be like obstacles and this is a pain in the ass. Like I'll turn that into training, which is for me
for
anyway.
Sure. Like I do that all the time. And then, like I work on a big farm as well. Like like the main house has they burn wood like all the time. So like, yeah, dude, I'm constantly splitting wood, dude. Constantly.
Yep. It's no joke, man. It's a workout,
Dude,
for sure.
No fucking joke, dude. It's hard to work out sometimes, dude, because I get home from work, dude, I'm so fucking tired. Fucking tired.
Yep, I feel you. So yeah, so then if I'm not doing that, I'm chasing around 2 kiddos. So it's like that's kind of fun.
Cardio.
But, yeah, exactly. Trying to keep them safe. But then beyond that, trying to play on the weekends and everything like that. I just got back from playing at Outback on Sunday. I'm at the Outback with Josh. We did a little 10-man, and we did a bunch of drills. So basically just trying to stay sharp, be ready for this event. But I'm really excited to see what this squad can do. When we can gel. Like we're gonna have the new pickup, Jerry Caro, myself. The only person we're gonna be missing is Pat Kraft. But then we're gonna be trying out CJ Cantor for this event. See if he gels with the squad. He, if it goes well, then I don't know if he'd be suiting up for us this year as well at the NXLs. So it's gonna be a good event. We're gonna have Rich Telford coming in to coach. Looks like he's gonna be coaching us for this season.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Is that breaking news? That's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah. So I'm pretty pumped. I've worked with Rich before. I played an event under him under the Bay State Bandits, and he's a great coach. So he's got a ton of knowledge, and he's very good about holding people accountable. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring to the team in terms of discipline.
I'm kind of a little sad though, because I love his commentating, dude. He's fucking so funny, dude. His little one-liner jokes, dude, fucking crack me up, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll see him up in the booth. There's ample time. He can coach us, and I'm sure he can get in the booth for other matches. So,
perfect. Good,
but no, he's a really good dude, and I'm really excited to like play under him. That's going to be pretty cool. He's a legend in the game, and I'll learn a lot from him. I'm sure this year.
For sure. Just if I learned anything from Tommy Aguilera, watch your meatball sub around him. All right, my dude.
Oh yeah, nice. That's awesome.
That was one of the best moments of that ICPLs when they were standing there and he just bit fucking Tommy's sub right out of his hand, dude.
That's awesome. Watch. That's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, dude. No, but it'll be good. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a cool year. I'm excited, and it's cool. Like it's funny, like playing with like Pat and Josh Taylor. Like Pat was on the team that I was on in TNN when we like won Jersey in 2011. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Josh, and we all kind of joked about like, oh, it'd be cool to play pro together someday. And like here we are, like, getting to fulfill that dream, which is pretty cool. So
dude, it's sick. Because like
10 years later,
it's always nice to do it with your boys, right? Like it's cool to win and stuff like that, but when you're doing it with your boys, I think it's something special.
Yeah, for sure. I think the dream would be like the guys like 187. They came up from Division II and rolled their way all the way up to pro. Or Revo, they started as a D3 or D4 team back in 2010, 2011. They got like Henry and O'Mara and all those guys rode all the way up to pro. It's pretty cool. So dude, it's definitely wild. I think that's a really difficult path. It's hard to stay grinding and paying for that all those years and making it, but they pulled it off. So pretty cool to see.
It's one of those situations like it's you sacrifice everything. I have this on one time. It's like you sacrificing your money, your free time, your health most likely because you're probably playing hurt, sacrificing everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
Awesome, man. And I got one more question for you. Again, thank you for spending so much time with me. I really appreciate it. And I just want to know your favorite travel story, man. You were talking about playing in Europe. You said Malaysia, but like, what's been your favorite place to go?
Huh. There's definitely some good ones out there.
And if he doesn't say your story, I'm sure you love all of them, but I want your favorite.
All right. I guess it would probably be in 2016. We went to France to play to an event out there, the Millennium Series event, and we didn't do so well. We went 0-3. But then that night we were like, fuck it. We're going to hop a train. We went to Amsterdam. And we took like a 3 or 4 hour train to Amsterdam. And we're out like partying like all night. We were going hard. And then it's like 2, 3 in the morning. And we're like, we should probably get back to France because some people had to like fly out the next day. And we're like, all right, cool. Well, we're gonna get this ride share. And we're like, all right, we're gonna ride share this thing called Blah Blah Car. And we're like, cool. Like we'll order it. It'll come. It's not like Uber reliability. Like these people are like, hey, we're coming at 3. Oh, we're coming at 3:30. We're coming at 4:30. We're not coming at all. And so like we're out in Amsterdam, like 3 or 4 hours away from where we have to get back to. We're like, we have no ride home. Like we have no way to get back to our hotel.
Is somebody going to come get us? Hello?
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're wasted. So
you're making great decisions.
We were making fantastic decisions. So we go and like it gets better and better. So we go to the train station. We're like, can we get out of here? Like they're like, no, all the trains are gone. They're like, the best you can do is maybe tomorrow. So we're like, well, all right, well, let's take a cab to the airport and like see if we can get on a flight. There's got to be flights. Go to the airport. There's no flights. So like we end up like, yeah, dude. And then like some guys randomly go to like ask us, like they're like, oh, we'll take you to France. We're like, this is a little suspicious. And I was with Arslan at the time, Hussein, and he was just like, dude, he's like, don't get in that car. He's like, bad idea. He's like, they're gonna harvest your organs, dude. I was like, he's like,
your kidneys are gonna be for sale.
100%. So like, one of the airport like guards, like whatever, he stopped the person. The guy threatened to shoot him. Like he's like, no, I'm taking them with me. He threatened to like to shoot the security guard at the airport, and the security guard kind of like pulled us off. So it was a wild night. We ended up sleeping for a couple of hours in the airport food court. And then we make it back onto a train. Somehow we find like first class tickets on the train back for the next morning to France. And we make it back in time for like travel out and flying home and everything like that. But it was a wild night, and I would 100%
That's
do
awesome.
it again.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I love the stories because that's what paintball's about. Like, yeah, we all play the sport because we love it, but none of us are exactly making billions, but we are fucking making great stories. That's what we're making for sure.
Yeah, dude, these memories you'll take with you forever. So it's pretty cool, you know?
Dude, forever. And actually I got one more question because I'm sure our listeners are going to or want to say this. So when you're out there killing it and you're getting a 5-pack, how do we say your last name properly so we could say it when you're out there killing it?
No worries, man. So no H. It's Hrostek.
Hrostek. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Hrostek. Yeah, so it throws everybody. So Matty Marshall and Tom Martinez, they call me Raw Steak now. So they don't mess it up. They're like, raw steak. I was like, all right, cool, I'll take it. So,
dude, yep, that's it. Okay, raw steak.
Yep,
I'm never calling you anything else, man. Perfect.
Not bad, dude.
But
yeah, no, well, thanks
for coming on, man.
I really appreciate the time, and it was a blast, dude. Thank you.
No, dude, for sure. And like, if you ever got any more free time, maybe after the event, we'll have to come back. And like I said, I love doing these event breakdowns. So maybe after the next event, you'll come back and I'll hang out with us for a little
Hell yeah, man. We'll kick it again. I would love it.
Dude, for sure. Yo, so again, guys, Greg Hrostek joining us on the program. Please subscribe to the channel and leave a review on the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you get podcasts. You can find this. And we'll catch you all guys in the next episode. Take it easy.